Hello my loves, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you are new. It is officially my birthday month. Okay, so I just wanted to do both of these videos kind of wrapped up in one. We're gonna do our May wrap up and our June TBR at the same time. I am going to, for the most part, be picking my TBR because it is my birthday and I think I should be able to read whatever I want to read. Are you serious, Reku? He's scratching on the door. Okay, so the first book I read in the month of May, Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I buddy read this book with a friend. I rated this a 4 stars. This is a fairy tale kind of fantasy. The story follows our FMC Evangelina, who has always wanted true love and basically felt like she would do anything to achieve finding her one true love. And then it kind of turns into like a what would you risk in order to get your happily ever after kind of situation. I've never read any book like it. I feel like I can't explain it. There's nothing that I can compare it to. It was just so whimsical and so fun. It literally felt like I was reading a fairy tale, but a fairy tale that was of its own with also a lot of fantasy elements, which I love because I love fantasy and I love fairy tales, and I think both of those inside of a book was a amazing idea. Next book I read in the month of May is the first book in the Twilight Saga. I rated this book also a 4 stars. I did really enjoy this book. I won't go too much into detail about my thoughts on this book because I am currently filming a full spoiler vlog on this book. I did really enjoy the first book in the saga. It is my first time ever reading Twilight. I've only ever watched a few of the movies, so I am really excited to go on this journey. And like I said, there will be more on that in my vlog, which expect that to be up around July, I'm gonna say. The next book I read in May was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I rated this book a 3.5 stars, but honestly looking back, I'm willing to just say a 3 star. I didn't particularly care for the ending. I didn't love the way the book wrapped up. I think I still had questions at the end, and I don't love reading a mystery and still having questions. I would like my book to be complete and solved, and I feel satisfied when I'm done with it, because there is nothing else after this. There is no book 2. There is no continuation. There is nothing else but my imagination, and I would rather not imagine. I would rather just know exactly what's gonna happen. Tell me exactly what happens. This book follows the life of 2 females who are both sharing the exact same birthday in the exact same restaurant. Josie and Alex are celebrating their 45th birthday, I believe. Josie and Alex don't have a lot of similarities between the 2 of them, and Josie is just kind of like, wow, we're both 45, and I'm looking at her, how she is in her life, and I just feel like she's way more successful. She's where she wants to be. She dresses how she wants to dress. She's overall a happier woman, and I'm 45, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm like, this is not the life that I wanted to live for myself. And I can see that it's doable because I'm looking at this 45-year-old woman whose birthday was the exact same day, and she has a completely different life than me. So Josie and Alex then decide to meet up. Alex invites Josie to her podcast, and they start a podcast called Hi, You're My Birthday Twin. And it goes from there. But that's all you need to know going in. It just follows 2 women whose birthday is on the same day who decide to start a podcast together. Next book I read in the month of May is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I rated this book a 4 stars. I also already read this book. We binged it, and I want to say a day. I don't know, maybe a day or 2. I did really enjoy this book. This is also my first Frida McFadden book. It wasn't a too complicated of a mystery. It was a very, I'm not gonna say easy mystery because I definitely would not have guessed the plot twist at the end, but it was something lighthearted. It was a nice palate cleanser. I really did enjoy it. I think I could binge through a lot of Frida McFadden's books if I wanted to. She seems like a very bingeable author. This book follows a group of newlyweds, Trisha and Ethan, who are traveling looking for their new dream home. They stumble upon the home of Dr. Hale, who has been missing for the last 4 years. And as they're trying to go visit the house, there ends up being a snowstorm, and they get kind of trapped inside of Dr. Hale's house. After getting trapped inside of Dr. Hale's house, Trisha goes exploring in the house and ends up finding a secret room full of these tapes. Dr. Hale was a psychiatrist who taped all of her appointments, and Trisha believes that if she listens to all of these appointments, she can find out what happened to Dr. Hale. And the book goes from there. I was not expecting the plot twist. I don't think anybody could have guessed this plot twist, and realistically it's more like a 3.75 than a 4. I did really enjoy it. It was super bingeable, but it wasn't necessarily amazing. Next book I read is Next book I read was Killer Instinct. This is the second book in the Naturals series. I can't really say much about this installment, so I'll just tell you about the series in general. So it's criminal minds, but they're all like 16, 17, 18 years old, living in the house. There is a love triangle in the first book, and the love triangle does get solved at the end. I rated this book a 4 stars. I did really enjoy myself reading it. I was buddy reading this, but my buddy did decide to DNF this book. He just wasn't particularly caring for it. It did start off slow in the beginning of this book, but I think once I started figuring out what the plot of this book was gonna be, it got really good and really enticing. Kind of wondering where the rest of the series is going to go, because there's kind of been this underlining mystery that has gone through the first 2 books that has yet to be resolved or even touched too much on, that I'm excited to get more information on, and I feel like that's how they're going to wrap the series up. The next 2 books I read are The Ballad of Never After and The Curse for True Love. I don't currently own the 3rd book as a physical copy because I do have the first 2 books in paperback, and I don't want my series to be mismatched, and currently the 3rd book is not out in paperback, at least to my knowledge. I could be wrong. I think this series wrapped up gorgeously. The 2nd book I rated a 4.5 stars, and the 3rd book I rated a 5 stars. I don't even want the series to be over. I literally just don't know what I'm supposed to do. I guess I'm just gonna have to fill the void that Stephanie Garber just left in my heart with Carnival. That's the only equation I can think of, because this was an amazing series. It was something like unlike anything I've ever read. It was very whimsical, it was very fun, it was very enjoyable. I mean, I read the entire series in this month, you know, so clearly it was enjoyable. Clearly I liked it. It was just exactly what I wanted to read when I read it. There is a question that I have at the end of the 3rd book, but I'm wondering if I read Carnival, would I still have that question? So, as of right now, the 3rd book is a 5 star for me, but if I find out that my question is not answered, I will be lowering my rating to a 4.5. Next book I read in the month of May is Crossed by Emily McIntyre. This is one of the books in her Never After series. This one is based off of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I rated this book a 5 stars. It just had 5-star vibes. It had my attention. It had me still thinking about it after it was over. In books, I typically don't care for the epilogue, and I will generally skip it sometimes, but this book, I was actually so intrigued as to what the epilogue had to tell me, because it gave us glimpses into their future, like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And I was actually so interested to see how these 2 people's lives ended up that I sat there, I read every page of the epilogue, and I wished there was more. This book follows Father Cade and Amaya in a kind of forbidden love. It's also kind of a bit of a stalker romance. I mean, he doesn't stalk her the whole time, but there is a few stalkerish moments. I don't know, perfect plot to smut ratio as well. This was really enjoyable. Finished it in 1 sitting. Next book I read is Wicked Beauty by Katie Roberts. This is the 3rd book in the Neon Gods series. This one follows Achilles Patroclus is how I've been saying his name, but I'm sure that's wrong, and Helen of Troy. This book has like a tournament going on in the middle of the book, which I really enjoyed. I wasn't expecting it because none of the other books go that way, but this one actually had more than just like a romance story. There was also this game going on in the background. The winner of this competition gets the crown of Ares, which is their god of war, right? Yeah. So the 3 of them enter the competition. It's kind of a forced proximity situation, MMF, and I rated this book a 3.5 stars. It was pretty enjoyable. It was okay. You know, that I don't have like anything that really stood out to me, but I don't have anything that really is making me be like, oh, that wasn't good. It was okay. It was enjoyable. I'm giving it a 3 stars on Goodreads, but I'm gonna say it's a 3.5. It's just not good enough to round up to 4. And the last book I read in the month of May, which technically I finished this book on June 1st, but I read it throughout May, so I'm counting it for my May wrap up, is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I loved this book. I just love when books are capable of making me feel real life feelings. This book had touched on a lot of real life issues, like with police brutality and racism in our world, and it just felt so powerful. This whimsical fantasy, beautiful story about this young Black girl, but also have those moments that it touches on like important topics. I think this book has the ability to make people understand how it is life as a Black woman or a black man or a black person in general. Just really enjoyed it. I want to say that this is a 5-star. I really do, but unfortunately I am going to give this a 4.5 star. I didn't find myself continually thinking about the series after I finished it. It was amazing, don't get me wrong. It was a really good book while I was reading it, but the second I was done reading it, it was kind of like, okay, this book follows a 16-year-old black woman who loses her mother in a car accident and then turns around and is enrolled into a early college program where there she meets a secret society that calls themselves Legendborn. She believes that the Legendborn and her mother's death are connected, so she decides she's going to infiltrate the Legendborn, and things kind of turn from there. This was very interesting to read. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I am glad that I stuck with it. I'm super excited to read book 2. Speaking of book 2, I bought 4 books at Barnes & Noble recently. The first book I got is book 2 in the series, Bloodmarked, and it has these gorgeous sprayed edges with this really nice front cover. I can tell that this book is going to be really good. Oh god, I don't know. Being too harsh on Legendborn, should I just bump it up to a 5? Because it was really good, but it just wasn't like perfect. This book follows, actually I can't tell you what this book follows because the first book leaves off on a cliffhanger. Like if you read the description to this book, you are going to spoil the first book, like majority of the first book. Next book I got from Barnes & Noble, Delicious Monsters, which I don't know anything about this book, but I thought the cover looked really nice. And I was there with my friend and she picked up this book, so I picked up this book. So now we both have it. Next book I got is Out on a Limb. This is an accidental pregnancy, which I believe this is a one-night stand and she ends up pregnant and she goes knocking on his door and she's like, hey, I'm pregnant. And he actually like steps up and be the guy that he should and decides to raise his child. I've seen this recommended by Larry Reads and I do tend to really enjoy the books that she recommends, and I want to say this was either a 4 or a 5 star for her, so I went ahead and picked it up. Next book I got is book 2 in the Sinners of Saint series. I'm currently reading the first book, Vicious, which is about Rosie. This book follows her sister and her sister's ex-boyfriend, which is a little weird. Now, let us choose my June TBR. It's currently June 6th, so we are a couple days into the month and I have already started 2 books. So I'm gonna put those on my TBR because I'm already reading them. Okay, I have picked out 8 books that I know for an absolute fact that I would like to read this month, my birthday month, I may add. So I want to do 2 TBR jar pulls. We'll go through the 8 books that I've already picked out and then we'll do our 2 TBR pulls at the end. These are in no particular order, but first book I will be reading is Out on a Limb. I did just pick this up, but I have to have a new release on my TBR. I just have to. I don't know. It's very short. I'm thinking this could be one of my airport books this summer, I think. Next book I'll be picking up is All In. This is the 3rd book in the Natural series that we talked about earlier. Next book I'm reading is New Moon. Like I said, filming a full spoiler vlog in the full Twilight saga, and I want to continue chipping away at that. Next book I'm adding to the TBR I have already started, and that is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 7th and final book in the Throne of Glass series. The only thing I can say about Throne of Glass is it follows an assassin who gets an opportunity to attend these games. The winner of these games then gets to become the king's new personal assassin, and she enters these trials or games or whatever. The series does take a completely different direction after those trials do happen, but you would have to read it to find out. I am on the final book. I'm so sad to see it go, but I'm also really excited to finally finish my Throne of Glass journey this month. Next book I have also started, which is Vicious, the 1st book in the Saints of Sinners series. We've talked about this book, so I'm not going to dive too much into it, but this is childhood enemies to lovers, 10 years later kind of thing. It's told from a then and now point of view, so we get the 10 years in the past and we also get the 10 years now when they're seeing each other again. I'm really enjoying it so far. I stayed up late last night binging it. It reads like a Kindle Unlimited book, which I'm sure if I looked it would be on Kindle Unlimited. Yes, this is a Kindle Unlimited series. It does read like a Kindle Unlimited book, but I am really enjoying it. It's kind of just like easy, not too much thinking. It's nice as a little bit of a buffer while I read Kingdom of Ash because this doesn't require too much thought, whereas Kingdom of Ash is so intricate. Book number 6 going on the TBR is Part of Your War by Abby Jimenez. I would like to start this trilogy because I want to read just for the summer in the summer. So I need to start with Part of Your World, so eventually I'll be able to read just for the summer in the summer. Next book on my TBR this month is Carnival, which is the first book in this trilogy. I just really enjoyed Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I just need Stephanie Garber to fill a hole only she can fill, because Stephanie Garber is unlike any other. Those 3 books that I read by her, I mean, I literally binged the entire series in the month. Hopefully that doesn't happen with this, because I do have 9 other books on my TBR that I want to get to. Last book that I've already previously picked out for my TBR is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Polson. I will be buddy reading this book this month. I'm probably going to read this around the middle of the month. I don't know, maybe around my birthday. We'll see. This book tells the story of 2 people. One person is living 7 years in the future. One person is living 7 years in the past. And their apartment kind of acts as a time capsule. And occasionally they'll see each other and they fall in love 7 years too early and 7 years too late. And as for the last 2 books on my TBR, I would like to do our TBR jar because I can't let her go. TBR jars are just so fun and so exciting. It's just, I don't know, I get the thrill of picking out a little note and seeing what it says and trying to fit the prompt. So we'll pick 2 prompts and we'll head downstairs to our TBR bookshelf. First prompt is something you've started but didn't finish. Okay, so I've started quite a few books but didn't finish. Honestly, The 7-Year Slip could have fit that prompt, but it's already on the TBR. Something pink. Okay, location switch. Let's look at my TBR shelf for our 2 prompts. First, we have something you've started but didn't finish. I started Love in Other Words. I've started Flawless. I've started A Little Life. I've started Haunting Adeline. I've started The Guinevere of Deception. And I've started Hunger Games. Sincerely, a mood reader. And then something pink. Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. Their Vicious Games. Butcher and Blackbird. Magnolia Parks with the binding and like the pink outfit. And Wild Love. First category, books I've already started. I'm definitely not in the mood for something sad on my birthday. Both of these books are buddy reads that I'll be doing in the future, so I am going to put both of these back. So that leaves us here. I don't think I'm feeling the Hunger Games at the moment, so I'm going to take this off the list as well. I honestly think I'm leaning towards Love in Other Words. I don't know, it's the summer, and I think I'm really, really feeling it. Some romance, you know, just a cute, warm little love story. And then for something pink. Rhea, if you see this, don't hate me. I think I'm going to be choosing between either Their Vicious Games or Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. It is also going to be Juneteenth this month, and I would like to celebrate with a person of color on my book cover. That really only leaves me with these 2 options. Which one would you be most upset if I read? Okay, while we wait for her response, let's just wrap up everything that we have on this month's TBR. All In by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Vicious by LJ Shin. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Polson. Out on a Limb by Hannah Boehm Young. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. And the last book is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. Okay, so we have my birthday TBR. I'm super excited for all of these books. These are all books that I really want to read. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye!